The moment Sarah and I signed the papers for our new home, I thought we had found our dream, a quaint place nestled in tranquility. But now, under the weight of rusted iron and haunting whispers, I'm beginning to wonder if some dreams are meant to be nightmares. Bear's growl was the first clue, a deep rumble vibrating through my bones every time he caught sight of that fence. The realtor had sold us a fairy tale, painting vivid pictures of untouched county land and serene woods. But with every night that passed, the woods began to stir with something darker. The warning was etched into the gate like a beckoning chant. Stay. Now, as shadows curled around the corners of our yard, I realized those words were never meant for us to take lightly. Each day, Sarah's anxiety grew, her eyes losing the sparkle I'd fallen for, replaced with a haunted daze. And me? I felt splintered. Half of me wanted to heed her cries to stay away from the gate, but there was another part, an insidious whisper tugging at my thoughts, like the branches of those monstrous trees, urging me toward the darkness beyond. When I went into the woods, I didn't expect to find my initials carved into an ancient tree. RJ, my heart raced. It was like seeing an old photograph of myself, but I had never set foot in those woods before. Had I? The truth clawed at my mind, unraveling a memory almost forgotten, and forcing the pieces of my reality to fracture. With each step deeper into the forest, I began to feel as though I was shaking hands with someone buried within myself, a person I thought I'd left behind. But what I didn't realize was that the identity I was uncovering had been waiting for me all along. The gate had been a threshold, not merely between our yard and the woods, but between who I was and who I had forgotten to be. The air was heavy there, thick as soup simmering on the stove, with scents that felt both familiar and eerily foreign, a dizzying blend of damp earth and something sweetly suffocating. As the trees loomed over me, their twisted branches became dark sentinels, guarding secrets that wanted to weave themselves back into my life. I thought about how nature, though often depicted in serene tones, harbored untold stories buried beneath roots and beneath the soil of memories. The shadows danced in the periphery of my vision, teasing me like some long-lost friend returning to remind me of the past. "Welcome home," they whispered with every rustle of leaves, every sigh of an evening breeze. But is this truly home? I wondered, a cold sweat prickling my skin, the lines between past and present blurred, and in that moment, I felt the ground shift beneath my feet. I talked to Sarah about my discoveries, the longing tightening my chest as I faced her. Her eyes, glistening with worry, felt like mirrors reflecting my own struggles back at me. Did she truly believe in the darkness pulling me into its tangled arms? Or did she long for the man who once shared dreams with her, not nightmares? Each conversation sounded like a desperate threading of hope through a frayed tapestry of our lives. But with every revelation, I felt her slipping farther away. And then something happened last night that shook the very foundation of my reality, a shadow of my own self standing on the porch. It wasn't just an apparition. It was a fragment of my soul, perhaps the one I had hidden from. The connection was electric, a twisted reflection of everything I was becoming and fearing. I opened the door only to find emptiness. Did I want to believe I could reconcile with that part of myself? Or was stepping into the darkness a one-way ticket to losing everything I held dear? I looked down at the shard of rusted metal resting near the door, a silent call to return. But to what? to whom? The question hung heavy in the air, an echo left unresolved, swirling like autumn leaves in a storm, caught between the comfort of the past and the uncertainty of what lay ahead. I felt the weight of the fence behind me, the chirping of cicadas mingling with the fading light, and I knew I stood on the precipice of a choice. Where would I let it lead me? I almost missed it altogether, buried as it was under all the junk mail and pre-approved credit card offers. The announcement was printed on a 7 inches by 5 piece of white cardstock. The right side featured a photo of a couple, their happiness practically glowing in the evening sun, while the left bore a simple message in a plain font. Just married. David and Emma. June 6th. Acadia. I reread that strangely unceremonious message twice, trying to recall how I might know the couple. The only David I could think of was my brother, who was not only single, but perhaps the most single man on this planet. My heart raced as I turned my gaze back to the photo. It wasn't a bad picture, considering David was generally indifferent about how he looked. The image, intended to capture joy, made my jaw drop. The man in the picture was indeed my younger brother, strolling down the beach, hand in hand with a young woman. They both wore expressions of pure delight, caught mid-laugh. David gazed adoringly at the woman, at Emma, I guessed, who was covering the top half of her face with her free hand. It struck me as odd that she would obscure her own eyes in a wedding announcement photo, but I became too wrapped up in the bizarre situation to dwell on it. Surely this was either an elaborate prank orchestrated by his friends, or David had subverted every expectation I had and gone off to elope without telling anyone. After digesting this shocking reveal, I returned inside, tossed the junk mail aside, and dialed David's number. It was evening where he was, but not late enough that he should have been asleep. He picked up after 6 annoying rings. "Well, Mazel fucking Tov," I exclaimed, squinting down at the woman's face as if it could provide answers. "Huh?" he replied, confusion evident in his voice. "Who's the lucky gal?" A pause followed, the kind of silence that stretched so long I almost thought the call had dropped. Finally, he said, "What the hell are you talking about, man?" At this point, it was pretty clear that it had to be a prank. If he had secretly gotten married and wanted to seclude it from his family, he certainly wouldn't have mailed me an announcement. I explained the bizarre envelope and then sent him a photo. Instead of leaning into the humor of the situation like I had expected, David grew so quiet, I thought the call had dropped. "I have no idea who Emma is," he finally said, his voice shaking with a hint of something more serious. "Or who sent that to you." He went on to mention that he had a couple of prankster friends, though how they'd have access to my address was a mystery. I could hear the tension in his voice, so I decided to follow his lead and text my parents and some family friends immediately. Sure enough, one of my old neighbors had received the same card, and he seemed mildly disappointed when I told him it was likely just a prank. My parents checked their mailbox, and just as I feared, they found the announcement too. Thank God I called when I did. I think my mom may have had a heart attack if she'd seen it first. After a long and restless night, I texted David with the updates. He told me he hadn't found the culprit yet and planned to keep looking in the morning. His seriousness troubled me. Was I missing something here? I spent the next few hours conjuring a mental list of all the Emmas in David's life. There were so many, it felt ridiculous. There was our childhood friend, the neighbor David had harbored a crush on until her family moved. A tragic incident with an Emma in his high school. Even an Emma whose party we attended in college. A night that ended with both of us spending the night in jail for public intoxication. My life had become an alphabet soup of Emmas, yet none seemed plausible as a bride. Here's where the night took a turn into the surreal. I woke up in the early hours, my phone ringing insistently. The screen lit up with David's number. I grumbled, half considering ignoring it until morning. But what if it was an emergency? I reluctantly picked up and muttered, "What?" into the mic. Silence hung for a few seconds, the kind that stretches into uncomfortable territory. What I heard next felt like a shadow creeping up my spine. "Hello," said a voice, quiet and unmistakably feminine. "David? Who is this?" I checked the screen again, confirming it was indeed David's number. Another long pause followed by, "Yes, this is David's apartment." Then the caller hung up. I sat up straight, chills trickling down my arms. Why was there a woman in David's apartment? I called him back anxiously, but it went straight to voicemail. I sent a frantic text asking what in the world was going on, followed by 3 more unanswered calls. Panic gnawed at me. I called David's buddy, Mike, who lived in the same building. I made him scope out David's place for me. He was my last line of defense against whatever was happening. "Just check that everything's okay," I pleaded. When Mike finally made it to the apartment, David was safe and sound, deep in slumber, completely unaware of the chaos. My heart sank as Mike assured me there was no sign of anyone else present. No woman, no chaos. Just David, the oblivious brother I knew. What disturbed me most, though, were the phone logs. There was indeed an outbound call from David's phone to mine. He had no memory of calling. And although David had a history of sleep-talking, the voice definitely didn't belong to him. I'm at a complete loss. I spent the next day combing through the card again, searching for some hidden message or clue. Why was the woman covering her eyes? If someone had gone to the trouble of creating fake couple photos, why not hold her face in a more natural pose? My discomfort grew until I found it hard to look at the marriage announcement for more than a few seconds at a time. It was only after countless failed attempts at viewing it that I finally noticed something shocking. The woman's mouth had been flipped upside down. A trick of the light, an artistic choice gone wrong, or something more sinister. Staring at the strange photograph, an unsettling thought crept in. Perhaps, just perhaps, this was all a single elaborate deception. But if that were true, then who was pulling the strings, and why was my brother at the center of it all? I don't get it. I swirled my straw around in my iced pecan, not the manliest drink choice, but it was Amaya who had turned me on to them, and now I couldn't go back to whatever I had ordered before. Letting her influence my coffee choice had irrevocably changed me. "Yeah, Josh," Amaya chimed in, leaning precariously back in her chair, the front legs tilting dangerously off the ground. "Me neither. It looks like Grindr," I snorted. "It does kind of look like Grindr." "Cooper, how would you even know what Grindr looks like?" Josh shot me an eyebrow raise, teasing me. "I mean, I've seen what Grindr looks like." "Have you never seen what Grindr looks like?" Both of them burst into laughter, and I crossed my arms in a sulk, knowing I was outnumbered. "Guys, I know it's weird, Josh continued, suddenly serious, clearly loving this bizarre rabbit hole we had fallen into. He pinched the bill of his baseball cap and spun it around so it was backwards, a nervous tic of his I had gotten used to. He leaned in, holding out his phone like it was a sacred relic. It had to be 50 times a day that he rotated his hat, sometimes joking that he was about to make his hair curly. I don't even know who made this. Jackson said they found it on the dark web or something. Your cousin Jackson? Come on, dude. Amaya smirked, chewing on her straw. You're not really falling for that, are you? He glared at her, undeterred. Some people think it's promotion for a movie or something. Some people think the people on here are dead. Dead? Like ghosts or something? He shrugged, his face blank. Dunno, lots of theories. They could also just be bots. So what's the point of using this? I chimed in, slurping loudly from the last hints of my latte. A couple of old ladies shot me dirty looks from a nearby table, and I smiled apologetically, trying to wave them off. You're just making it sound sketchy. Josh grinned, coming alive. He leaned closer, a conspiratorial glint in his eyes. People are finding love, apparently. He whisper-yelled like he was about to drop some earth-shattering truth. Like, on the app? With the ghost/bots? He shook his head, bouncing in his seat. No, not exactly. The app figures out your type or something, and then you just find someone exactly like that. They're drawn to you or something. So now we're venturing into some tarot card universe soulmate bullshit? Amaya chuckled, but I could see her frustration. Her emotions had been all over the place since she and Sean broke up, and I couldn't blame her. I knew she was struggling, and I felt guilty for feeling a little relieved. This meant more time with her, but I could see the toll it took. They had been together for 2 years. Big relationships like that were complex. Meanwhile, I hadn't had a girlfriend in years, not even on a date. College was supposed to be this wild party, filled with romantic encounters, but I had been sorely mistaken. What Josh said sounded appealing, in theory, but was it real? Probably not. Listen, Josh said, wiping sweat off his forehead. I know it sounds insane. It definitely is insane. I haven't even gotten to the weirdest part yet. Let's hear it then. Amaya brushed her curls out of her face. Spill it, Josh. He held out his phone again. Our interest piqued. It was the same layout he'd shown us before, a black background with a list of open chats. He tapped on a small question mark in the top right corner, and the terms and conditions popped up, scrolling like a bad horror movie script. Terms and conditions. 1. If someone messages you that you would like to speak with, you must reply within 10 minutes of receiving the message. 2. If you do not wish to speak to someone, repeat this phrase word for word. Thank you for your interest, but I am not open at this time. I wish you good luck with finding what you want. 3. If you wish to stop speaking to someone, repeat the phrase above. 4. If someone continues messaging you after you have sent the phrase above, get to high ground, lock all doors and windows, and contact customer support immediately. Delete the app. Do not re-download the app. 5. Do not message anyone between 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. 6. Always say good night before you go to sleep. 7. Always say good morning as soon as you wake up. 8. Always be polite. 9. Do not send more than one message at a time. 10. Do not offer them anything to eat. 11. Do not agree to meet up with anyone on the app. Do not tell them where you are. Even if they say that they already know, do not invite them into your home. 12. If they are near your home, get to high ground, lock all doors and windows, and contact customer support immediately. Delete the app. Do not re-download the app. 13. Do not let them trick you. They will try. 14. We are not responsible for any negative consequences of using the app. Amaya and I stared wide-eyed at the screen, our pupils dilated, as if that would help us absorb the absurd information. I blinked, trying to grasp the implications, but all I could find was disbelief. This has to be a joke, Amaya finally said, her voice strained. Josh shrugged, shifting uncomfortably. It's crazy, I know. Did you agree to all of that? My stomach churned. The pecan mate I had cherished moments ago began feeling heavy and oppressive. Have you been using this? He hesitated, looking a bit sheepish. I mean, it's just for fun. I wanted to see if it was real. Jackson met this girl a week after using the app, and I met her, too. She's really nice. I find that hard to believe. Amaya's cheeks flushed with frustration. If you're messing with me, this isn't funny. No. I promise, Josh exclaimed, looking genuinely hurt. I just thought it was something weird to talk about. Whatever lightness had been in the air vanished. As Amaya stood, gathering her things, I noticed how tightly her lips were pressed together. Whatever, guys, I don't feel good. I'll talk to you later. Amaya. But she was already gone, and Josh and I shared a worried glance. Dude, I swear I wasn't trying to mess with her, he said, searching my face. I know, she isn't doing well right now. I hesitated, grasping for the right words. Jackson really met someone? It took mere hours that night for me to succumb to my mind's racing thoughts. My desire to find companionship through this cursed app dwindling, but stronger than the fear of its warnings. I downloaded the app. Interested to see where this rabbit hole led, I pressed accept and braced myself for whatever storm lay ahead. My curiosity outweighed rationality, and a desperate longing for connection drove me forward. Despite having all the reasons to think the app won't deliver in terms of results, I felt compelled to explore, imagining I could finally break my dry spell in romance, if only for a moment. Not an hour later, a notification buzzed. Noel. Hello, handsome. The emoticon sent an uneasy chill down my spine. I checked the time. 11:30 p.m. I gritted my teeth. Technically, I had the time barely. Clicking on the message revealed her profile. A girl, maybe close to my age, with a forced smile and striking dark hair, posing in a field of yellow flowers, wearing a flowery dress. At first glance, she seemed normal, but the closer I stared, something felt deeply unsettling. Her smile was stiff, her eyes glassy, with pupils that seemed to shimmer in a way that didn't fit. Panic gripped me. I checked the terms again. Reply in 10 minutes. I had less than that now. Thank you for your interest, but I am not open at this time. I wish you good luck in finding what you want. My heart pounded as I hit send, hoping fervently I was being careful enough. Minutes crawled by while my anxiety bounced around like a pinball. What the hell was I doing? By the end of the week, I found myself in a constant cycle of communicating with a string of other girls who seemed harmless enough. They brought flickers of sane conversation in the midst of my chaotic thoughts, but each time I looked at their profiles, dread swallowed me whole. On the 7th day, I received a message that sent my heart racing. Amaya. Hi, Cooper. Stunned, I blinked at my phone, trying to process reality. It took longer than it should have. That wasn't a text message from her, it was from the app. I blinked hard as my pulse quickened at the horror ripping through my chest. What was she doing there? Did she use the app? The last conversation I'd had with Amaya echoed in waves of panic. Josh, did he know? I skimmed through her messages, which completely skipped past polite conversation and jumped to more frantic notes. Amaya, I'm near your home. Tears stung my eyes. My fingers trembled as I sent a reply. Where are you? What happened to you? 10 feet. She responded, and a shiver ripped through my body. 10 feet from where? It's cold here. I swallowed hard, struggling to dissolve the lump in my throat. Amaya, where are you? 6 feet, she replied next, and that was when dread flooded through me, along with the realization of everything I had done wrong. I could hear the familiar phrase echoing in my mind. Not a single thing lined up with the rules. Thank you for your interest, but I am not open at this time. I wish you luck in finding what you want. Let me in, Cooper, she typed. I have to show you where it took me. My heartbeat thundered in my ears, drowning out rationale as I found myself trapped between the paralyzing urge to run and the frantic need to protect my friend. Only I couldn't hide from this. I couldn't escape the malicious grip holding me captive in my own home. I raced for my attic, every footstep echoing deafeningly against the world that lay beneath me. Amaya's messages blinked across my screen, words I could scarcely interpret, while every second felt like interstellar eternity. It isn't her, I whispered to myself, clutching my phone in desperation. Staring at her messages, my eyes swam with tears as I realized I wasn't the only one who had been taken by the app. And whatever was still sending me messages bore no true resemblance to who she had been. The flicker of dread ignited in me like a long-held secret released from the abyss. I felt sick, limbs heavy. I knew one thing for certain: if I saw her again, it wouldn't be me either. I never deleted the app. I shut my eyes at the dreadful realization. This wasn't over. It was just beginning. In a world tangled between human emotion and technological monstrosity, I wished for my own luck to pull me through the uncertainty, but the truth echoed. If you look closely enough, the monsters are always waiting just outside, eager to whisper sweet nothings before dragging you into their cold embrace.